Make some noise. Hadithi, Hadithi.
She used to be my neighbor. I'm just going to acknowledge her before she shouts out for me to acknowledge her. She used to be my neighbor. I'm used to like my name being butchered. I've been Namibia. I've been... that's really good actually, Mpile. Mpile like got it really well. These days, like I just go by Nehemiah. It makes it easy for a mixed audience to know. And I also have the other names, Nemo, Nay. You can call me anything you like. I guess everyone was doing like a personal manifesto before they came up. Like, I am not gay, I am straight. I am gay. With me, it's a moving process. The closest that I've gotten to it that I am a fluid male, right? And so I'm still there and I'm figuring it out and I'm learning and I'm growing, right? So I'm going to, as Mpile said, I am from the Poetry Society at the Nelson Mandela University. So if you happen to go there, if you're ever there, we have an event, please come and join us. We're an inclusive space that creates platforms for multiple forms of written expression, including the literature style poetry, slam poets, rappers, lyricists, all of them. We house all of them in our society. So I was going to do something a bit different today. A while back, I wrote a trilogy called Love, Loss, and the Aftermath, and it kind of seeks to visit all of these themes in poetic form. I especially wrote this because it happened with me in sequence where I was in love, I suffered a loss, and then I was dealing with the aftermath. So the first part, which is love, is seeking to kind of, when I was in love at the time, I was trying to write the person I was in love with the entire time, and it was quite strange for me as a romanticist not to be able to pen down someone. It was something strange and an uncomfortable situation for me to be in because writing is like my bread and butter. And all of a sudden I can't write this person. But we used to watch a series together called Tyrant, and Tyrant speaks of a tyranny where there's Muslim people living under this tyrant and they are being demarcated and things like that by this person. But there was a scene in that one episode that we were watching together. There was a really striking and thought-provoking scene that really kind of cemented this idea to me that, oh my word, that could possibly be what love feels like, you know? And so I wrote it, and I hope you will see it the same way I saw it. So this is the one for love, and it's titled Smiling. I saw a man run once, flames dancing on flesh. It was of protest. His cries a loud declaration of freedom, as if to say that some things were worth dying for. Had my heart a flame, looked on in horror a woman on the sidewalk, held back, body concaved into quiet acceptance, as if to say that all good intentions came at a cost. Maybe I was the man, set alight by devotion, then swallowed your passion, dropped your spirit inside of me, our bodies gleaming at the feet of love. As if to say that love is laborsome, as if reducing something to an act makes it more holy, like worship. And maybe you be sweet surrender, you be kind, you be keeper of my heart, silently accepting nature, as if to say that God is walking on 2 feet, making a disciple out of me. You be my heart, so that it knows that sometimes cowardice is courage and all good intentions mean something. I saw a man run once. I promise he was smiling. So they were smiling, and he tried to kind of capture, as I was saying. So in loss, we kind of travel, or we try to make sense of a home, essentially a family. And being from a family who were in missionary service, being from the Gauteng province, coming to the Eastern Cape to come and do missionary work here, there was never a sense for me of a physical home. So home took on physical bodies. So home for me was in relationship to the bodies that were around me that formed home, as opposed to people sharing stories about, oh, I remember our childhood home. Oh, I have a special room. I could never relate to that because I had never had that. But I had these bodies around me that sort of symbolized this notion of home and what happens when that body is shaken or when that body suffers loss. So I don't know if you're going to play, but my father used to be in a Christian band because they were missionaries, and he used to sing to us, like growing up, lullabies and stuff. And so when I was experiencing loss, I was trying to rationalize, because poetry for me also becomes a form of healing. I was trying to rationalize that space of loss and how I felt in it. And there was a melody constantly in my head when I was trying to write about it, but I never quite could write about it because, loss is a tricky thing. And I'm going to be singing the bit of the melody, but I don't want you all to think I'm a singer because I am not. Yes, the singer behind me. And so this piece is titled Home, an ode to my father. These are the things that I'll bring to you, child. Don't be afraid, I am always around. In your distress, I'm the voice that is calming you down. These are the things I will bring to you. I'll bring you joy when no light is around. For when it is dark, I will shout for the light. When you are weary and don't know which way you should turn, I will bring all these things to you. I will bring all of these things. A place of great discomfort became my home. After the chipping away of my father, you see, my mind did not have anything to draw on, because my closest encounter with loss taught me that fathers buried their young the day my sister shed away. I can still hear my mother's loud screams on that early 90s morning when our home shed its first flesh. I can still recall the contrast in her silent scream when my daddy shed away. He died in her arms peacefully, she'd say. Saturday morning, making tea, then shed away just like that. So one would understand why for one entire month I only delighted in hearing my mother's voice, and why for 2 thereafter I prayed for death. But pain too is a passing through, a companion that leads us to an unacceptable better, then mercilessly slays you in the still of night, a transcendence in your bedroom one night, a holy movement that night with God, a fleeing to the other side, a tearful prayer that started to resemble healing. Then holding on tighter to the gifts that your memory shares with you in the still of night that bring you back to me. And these salted tracks that mean us harm, let them be damned. And these salted tracks that mean us harm, let them be damned. And these salted tracks that mean us harm, let them be damned. Let them be damned. Let them be damned. So the aftermath essentially comes after the process of falling in love, suffering a loss, and through that encounter of loss, being reduced to be in a state without love, because depression is toxic and masculinity is toxic, and it can't deal with loss and pain, and it strikes out. and it destroys, essentially, in my case, you know. And so the aftermath for me was really the contemplative space of coming out of that. And really, when I was coming out of that, I could think of the person that I was in love with before that, because I felt that I had given them a bit of a raw deal, you know. And so in the aftermath, really, I wanted to write this piece to kind of create a sense of a consoling space, a consolidatory thought to them. And the piece is titled, I Hope You Find Love Again, after camp. The first time I knew love was when you took my hand, translating that I was special, worth claiming. The process of love is coarse, pale hands of hard labor, of doing good. It was in the way Mom looked at Dad when she thought no one was watching. It was like someone pulling the rug from underneath you, rendering you defenseless. And how I delighted in fragility back then. I remember how the earth quaked as at the bucking of your hips into mine, how no deity had ever experienced such divine a smile you left on my face on that incline, that day when I, breathless, and you waited while the others moved on. My father said there is no greater love than that you give yourself. And you led me to the marriage of mind and spirit till my face looked reverent, my hair a prayer, and my self exalted. And the self despised in the aftermath. I lost my father and of you forget. Took it into stride while you teary-eyed saying the things our mouths would not allow. And on cold summer's afternoon away from you I ride. I hope you find love again, if only to know that you were treasured. That the skies above to me could not measure to the good that you have done. I hope when you returned to winter in your homeland that it embraced you, that another embraced you, was privy to the gospel of your song, which is life, that even in the depths of depression, I could still survive. Thank you for listening to my story. I'm Nehemiah, and I hope you enjoyed this.